Welcome to the Dig Endurance Podcast, where we are all about digging deep and discovering the power of emotional resilience. I'm Aaron, and I'm joined by my brother, Sean.
As endurance athletes and business owners, we have learned a thing or two about facing and overcoming adversity. We are here to share inspiring stories from our guests that will help you to find that inner strength when you feel like you are running on empty.
Are you ready? Let's dig in. Welcome to the Dig Endurance Podcast. Back here with Sean today. Today it's going to be just the two of us talking through some things that have been on our minds. And today specifically, that I want to talk a little bit more about external uncontrollables, like things that they happen. They're either unexplainable or they're sudden, maybe both. And a lot of times those are the most uncomfortable and frustrating things. I know for me personally, when something's my fault or it's because I didn't do the job, it still frustrates me, but at least I know why it happened, or I can feel ownership that like, hey, this is happening because I didn't do X, or this is happening because I didn't do Y. Like, if it's because of me, it's maybe it's weird, but maybe people can relate.
And that's often, right?
Yeah.
When it's because of you?
Yeah, all the time. Yes, of course. For whatever reason, it's less frustrating when I am the reason or I cause my own grief.
For sure.
But when something comes up where I'm checking all the boxes, I'm doing the right things, I'm on top of my game and my process, and then some random act of nature.
It always happens.
Or act of God, as we call it, intervenes. That can be really frustrating for me.
Yeah.
And especially when, because I almost always want to know the why, and you dig in and maybe it's someone else didn't do their job, or it feels like they're out to get you, or it can be really, really frustrating. And today I'm trying to talk through and maybe give some stories or some content on some experience with that and navigating that.
What comes to mind when you talk about the setback stuff and just out of nowhere, whenever I'm having a really good week, you said when I'm on my game and the process is flowing, right? When I'm having a really good week and I'm just like, man, everything's great right now. Everything's just nice and smooth. I'm to a point now where I almost always know something's coming. Mm-hmm. I sit there and think, this is great. I wonder what rock is headed my way. Well, it's not an if, it's a what's coming.
I think that
every time.
That mindset right there is, I think, before we even get into like some stories or some illustration, that's a good nugget, is especially if you're going to be going into business. Training too. I mean, endurance training
sure,
too.
Everything.
We've talked about some unpredictables there, but
there's tons.
If you're going to start a business or be an entrepreneur, definitely have the mindset that you just said, which is expect it. Expect the unexpected and expect that that roadblocks will be placed in front of you. And more than anything, I think and it is related a lot to emotional and mental resilience, because a lot of times there isn't necessarily a quick solution, which is what makes it so frustrating. You have to just wait it out or figure it out. Right now, so with Forward, I handle most of the billing, and we do, like you said, we check the boxes. I mean, you handle a lot of the intake, a lot of the authorizations. Mm-hmm. I handle a lot of the back end, making sure that the claims are clean. There's no coordination of benefits issues. This is sounding boring already. For all those who know nothing about insurance,
it is boring.
Basically, it means that there's no issues with us getting reimbursed through your insurance for the services we provide at the end of the day.
And that's just an example anyways, right? You can apply it anywhere.
So, but the issue is, with us getting reimbursed, it impacts our clients' care. I mean, because if we're not getting reimbursed, then I'm not able to provide the service. I can't, we're not a nonprofit. We're covering our employees and employing them and paying for them to be able to serve these clients. And if their insurance isn't reimbursing, that means I have to make not fun decisions as the CEO on, hey, is this a coordination of benefits issue? Do we have to look at something, making an adjustment with this client's services? And in behavioral mental health, that's not something I want to have to do.
No one
because
does.
People need that, So Anyway, out of the blue, as I'm tracking our reimbursements, I can see that one of our largest insurances randomly cuts our reimbursement in half. No notice, no phone call, no letter, no nothing.
Immediate 50% decrease.
Right away. And it's like, okay. And then I connect with our biller, who I work with very often, and no, we don't see anything wrong. Okay, well, thanks for letting me know. He's like, we should be good. Next week comes, reimbursements are down almost over 3/4 of what they normally are. Just to put this in perspective, it's, by the second week, that's over $50,000.
Right.
It's a lot of money.
That's a big chunk.
What people, when I go home at the end of the day, the reality I live with is that really at the end of the day, people rely on me for their compensation to provide for their families. That's my very real reality as a CEO and as an owner, and I take it very seriously. And so, by week 2, it's like, okay, I know that something's off here, and I got to figure this out. This is our second largest payer, insurance company that we work with, and if it goes on too long, these are the things that can cause real problems. Thankfully, it's not anything. We've been through similar situations, but at any rate, it's never fun to deal with. So as we're making phone calls, we're reaching out. The insurance is just saying, what makes it more frustrating is we don't know what the reason is. I can't tell you. All I can tell you is that you need to provide medical records. We started getting these letters, just like a book's worth of medical records requests for every client.
Right.
Normally when that happens, it's because they don't have insurance anymore or their insurance is expired. That's normally what that tells me. I get those from time to time.
Okay.
I was getting them for all of our clients out of the blue. And as I'm getting these, it's like, well, okay, what's the reason? And they couldn't provide the reason. So fast forward 4 or 5 weeks. So now we're over a month, and I'm still not getting answers from Anthem. And sometimes we're under audit, and this time they wouldn't verify that either. And so at any rate, we're not getting reimbursed. It's going on a month and a half, and clients need service, and had to make tough decision since we're not hearing from the insurance that, okay, well, since the only reasonable, logical conclusion was that this is a coordination of benefits issue and that their insurance is not active. So we had to let parents know that we're not hearing from your insurance, and we've tried to work this out. 2 months, going on almost 2 months is a long time. We're basically not being reimbursed or providing services. So we are being customer service oriented, and we're trying to take care of these families. But I finally had to have the difficult decision where I had to pen a letter myself and basically say, hey, I'm sorry, but we're receiving medical records requests. We're not getting a reason why, and we're going to have to look at putting your child services on hold until we can get answers. As you can imagine, I received about 30 plus parent phone calls to see, the reality is, if I'm in this boat, I'm in this boat with my parents. I'm not gonna. I think what's unfair is if I just penned a letter cowardly and said, "Hey, you guys, good luck with this." But I just gave them my cell phone and I said, "Yeah, this is not fun, and here's my number." A lot of those parents called and were very unhappy when they called me, but I think I helped them realize, like, well, hey, how many owners or CEOs give out their cell phone to call directly? Not very many. And as I start walking them through the process and what's needed, they kind of cooled off and understood. And those 30 phone calls, instead of coming my way, started going toward the insurance instead.
It's fun when your phone rings that much all day.
It's
isn't it?
super fun.
Yeah, I love it.
I actually don't. I don't mind. I don't mind, to be honest. But,
I'm just kidding.
But anyway, within 3 days, these parents go from calling me to start with to calling the insurance, and all of a sudden, 30 parents, upset parents, are pounding on their door, and all of a sudden, within 3 or 4 days, we started getting our first reimbursements. Interesting, for 5 or 6 weeks, I'm asking, or we're asking questions with zero answers, and as soon as parents start getting involved, then the insurance decides to flip a switch. So in this instance, that's a short story that I just shared in like 5 minutes or less, but that was going on 2 months. That was almost 60 days worth of all that played out. And how do you, talking about how you can handle these difficult problems that come up where, I almost forgot to share. I do need to share this. The whole reason, so come to find out, I get a phone call 2 days ago. The whole reason this happens is someone from the insurance was reviewing some of our claims and incorrectly identified that one of our supervisors was uncredentialed. And instead of verifying it, she jumped to that conclusion and instantly
ran with it.
Flagged our account.
Here we go.
And whenever an account is under a review, they will not reimburse for that entire period that we're under review. So the lady told me, and actually kudos to the second woman who reached out to me and who I was talking to. She was actually very friendly. But she said all she had to do was verify on a website, and we've done that, and we can see that this person's credentialed and good to go. Instead, she just flagged us, and instead of making a phone call or reaching out to figure this out real quick, flags us, and for 2 months, no reimbursements, and we're under this hold. So that's the reason. So in the end, it all, we get off, it's working out, things are back on track, but I still could have, I'd be lying if I didn't say there was stress with these last 2 months that I'm dealing with, but how do you take external experiences like that, and what I have not been good at in the past is how do you stay a good father? How do you remain a good CEO, an employer? How do you remain a good coach? How do you remain a good husband? The hardest thing is of being a leader in each of those situations, I feel, is that you have to balance like being optimistic with the uncontrollable, with the external factors at play. You don't want to lie to people. There needs to be some urgency and there needs to be some realism, but you have to balance it with not letting it overtake your emotional well-being or your mental well-being, and being a support and being optimistic and
right.
being present in the other things in
right.
your life that are all going on. And I can honestly say, in this instance, I'd been well primed and gone through other things where, although it was still really frustrating, it didn't dominate me as much as instances like this had in the past. And maybe that just comes simply with experience, and that's probably true.
Definitely.
But I also, this time, I think, took the mindset that, okay, we've been here for something similar before, not quite this way, but this is how it played out last time. And it's, going off that experience, and also, these are where I pick up the phone. I'm calling Dad, I'm calling Rick, I'm calling others who have dealt with the insurances and others, and where it goes beyond my depth. I've learned to have these conversations where, okay, stress comes in when I don't know what's going on, or where I'm uncertain of what the conclusion's going to be,
or when you don't handle anything, or you're not proactive.
Right. So I've found that you've talked a lot about our inner circle. When I involve my inner circle and those that I trust and who know more than me, that really helps me a lot to navigate these unforeseen external factors, maintain my emotional and mental composure, and it's really helped me to develop patience to overcome it. And I think that what I've learned, and I do believe in a higher power, Sean and I are both religious, I've found that a lot of these instances where external factors are at play just to vex me and to frustrate me and to shake my inner peace. I do feel that it's
got to harden you a little bit.
That the point is, whether you believe in God or not, and I do, they are to teach you that everything has its timing. You need to be patient, and you have to learn to be content and happy and at peace, even when external factors are shaking the hell out of your boat when you're on the water.
Yeah.
And so in wrapping this up, and I literally got the email just this morning that we are released from this audit review with Anthem that was unexpected. I'm just reflecting this morning on what I didn't do as good as I could have, but at the end of the day, I do feel that I can say going through this situation, which is probably my hardest challenge with Forward most recently,
Okay.
it felt a lot better, and I feel somewhat, I don't know, I felt I could take a second in my office and give myself a little more of a pat on the back this time and say, this time I did this better. It was no less frustrating. It was no less infuriating. It was no less out of my control. But based on past experience and based on learning some things and trying to handle this one differently, I felt more at peace. It rocked my boat a lot less. And interestingly enough, whether by design or not, this one also happened, I happened to overcome it faster. I think the sooner I accepted that, hey, this isn't fully in my control, we're going to do what we're going to do, and I didn't allow myself to get as stressed, ironically, we actually got over this hump a lot faster than the past too. Maybe that's just luck, maybe not. But I feel that at 36 years old, I decided relatively young we both did, to start our own business and to do what we do. To those people who are considering that, or who are just starting and are maybe going through something similar, it's not you. It's not only you. This is the other thing I sometimes just need to hear from people, and so that's why I feel pressed to talk about it, is if you're going into business, it's everyone. Everyone deals with this stuff. Everyone deals with that random bill that someone forgot to send you 2 months ago, and then all of a sudden,
it never goes away.
No, it never does, and then you get hit with it. Or like I just shared the experience with the insurance I just went through. It's easy as a business owner to feel like you're on an island, or as an entrepreneur, like, hey, you see other people, man, they're killing it. It look like they're doing so well. Man, they're not. I don't think they're going through it like I am. Trust me, yes, we are. But what I think a lot of us have learned, and myself probably truthfully slower than others, is just you can't let it rock your boat. And this is digging in. It's digging in when crap hits the fan, when external forces are beyond your control, and you feel, this to me is like when you feel the literal red dots from a sniper on your head, like someone's out to get you and they're just trying to rock your business. It's like you said, you be proactive, you do what you can do, reach out to your inner circle, and you maintain your composure, and you control what you can control. And then you work through it. Yeah. And I have learned that these things do work out, and they will. They're not going to work out by you sitting and doing nothing and by hoping. Hope is not a strategy. It's a terrible strategy. Hope is good when coupled with action and doing what you can do. So, what are your thoughts?
I mean, being proactive just in general is always good, because talking about this stuff, it doesn't matter what we talk about. If you're not doing anything proactive, nothing's going to happen anyways. Everyone knows that. For me, I'm a rewards guy. I work off of I have a simple mind, right? Everyone knows that. It's just how I think. And with that comes a certain type of way that I learn. And rewards, it's a reward system for me. I don't deal with the same stuff as you do. Yeah, we work together all day long, but I'm over here doing other stuff, and I might have a killer week with a heavy workload or whatever, and sometimes I come in really driven and I'll get a ton done, and maybe I have some great dinner plans for the night. Maybe I don't have all the kids this week. I mean, I could go down the list of things that put me in a good state of mind, relaxed, driven, motivated. Those are good feelings. They're rewarding feelings to your mental health system entirely. And then all of a sudden something happens, right? You could get like 3 bills in the mail, or a bill could show up that's in collections that you literally never even seen. Yeah, you didn't even know it was there. And all this,
I've had that happen in business, and not just a bill. I'm talking like a large bill.
Yes.
Where it's like, what the heck?
I never even saw the bill, and now it's in collections. Right? I mean, it's just the most simple things. The second you see it, it absolutely throws you off. And my thing is, when I have these things happen to me, I immediately go to like this comparison mindset. Is someone else going through this? Like, does Aaron get bills that are in collections? Does this person do that? Is that like, I immediately think like, how are other people processing this kind of stuff? Is this normal for me to experience this? And and yes, it is. Everyone experiences this probably on a daily basis, and I'm sure everyone thinks the exact same way that I do. But again, I've learned that being proactive is the only way to go. That's the only way to go. You don't even necessarily have to have an actionable plan in front of you, but when these things hit, it's like, okay, well, here's this bill that I was unaware of, and I can be mad about it, angry about it, or I can just simply call and just fix it. It's out of my control. I didn't set it up. I didn't do this. I'm not accountable for how it happened. I'm accountable for taking care of it and relieving that from my brain.
Yep.
Right? And so I've learned that, this reward system it's a good reward system. When you do the small things, when you alleviate these things that randomly show up from time to time that are out of your control, it's an immediate reward. It puts you back in that mental health space that you were thriving in, whether it was momentarily or the entire week. If I'm not proactive, if you throw a couple things at me and I'm in the middle of 3 other things and it's frustrating to me, not because you threw them at me, but because I'm like in the middle of doing other stuff, yeah. It puts me in that space of like, gosh, I was getting all this done. Oh, now I have 5 more things. It's like, what? Versus like, knock these 3 out and then do these other 5.
Yep.
And keep going. And then all of a sudden that reward system kicks in at the end and I'm just like, oh, yeah. I did 8 things today instead of 4 you know what I mean? And so when I go home, I'm in such a better mood. And it's funny you said better dad, significantly better dad. Instead of going back to the room and sitting on the bed for who knows how long, right? I'm out there harassing my kids and throwing them on the couch and who knows what I'm doing.
And that takes effort. Like you have to literally remind yourself, you can't let external factors ruin your mental health or your emotional well-being. They can. It's very easy to let them do that. You have to be
absolutely.
You have to be conscientious about still being a dad when you get home, going to church, fulfilling other responsibilities, because if you let it overtake other things or shadow your mind, you really have lost, and it'll become unhealthier for you, and you'll spiral. So you like you said, you have to be conscientious about when you're in your other spheres of life to protect those spheres from the external factors. You can't let them shake it.
And there's even more fragile times. There's people, we work in the addiction world, right? And, if someone that's suffering from substance abuse or recovering or in any situation where they're on what's known as a cloud 9, right? They're feeling good, they're clean, they're moving on, they're making plans. There's only so many plans in front of them. They've got them. They're starting to check the boxes. I mean, they're feeling really good because they've come out of that dark hole. And when you see light after being in blackness for that long, you're really up there and you're really feeling driven and motivated. And the most basic thing can throw you off.
Sure.
Right? And so, again, that goes back to being proactive, and when you're running groups and stuff like that, helping people be aware, like put tools on their tool belt to where like when something happens, they're going to be aware. They're going to understand like the feelings and frustrations that are going on, which is then going to trigger some sort of reaction that creates proactivity like that. I mean, it's a very fragile process for everyone.
Sometimes in other situations, being proactive it won't be enough. Sometimes you just have to wait. Right now,
that's a good point.
I'm on month 6 of waiting for a business license from the city of Fresno for a new business that I'm opening up called Sictron off of Hernan and Marks. It'll be a brand new family entertainment center. We are waiting. This is our 6th month without a license for permit. A permit.
So you can't
to
just go knock on their door?
Building. We have. I have.
And what's happening?
Personally gone. And by the way, you'd think that this was like 23 years ago, walking into the city of Fresno's health department, where there's like wear your mask, social distance, and all this stuff, which is ridiculous 3 years in. No one's there in the office. They're all still working from home. Just don't even get me started. I've already got myself started, I guess.
Frustrated from the get-go.
We literally are on 6 months, just waiting. We have everything ready. My partners and we've got everything invested in the business, money in the bank.
Right.
We can't get approval from the final loan without the permit.
Right.
We can't start construction without the permit. It literally is the key to unlock the door that is like formally building this business, and we're just sitting there like ready to go, which is exactly where we've been for 6 months now. And we anticipated 3 or 4 months waiting just because that's how it's been. By the way, Clovis is way better than Fresno this way, but just FYI. That's where we're at. and we're going to be going on month 7 in July. But, you know, I've got good partners. I've been doing parks like this for over 10 years. I've been in situations where they work like that. They open really quickly, and others, this is precedent. This will be the longest I've ever waited, but it will open. We will do well. All those of you who come to see it will love it. I encourage you to come check it out. But this is a lease that we're staring in the face right now. We have a business that's not built yet. We're talking $28,000 a month for this lease. You know, once we're up and running.
Sure.
Now we've got time. I'm not talking tomorrow, but there is a clock and it's ticking, and we are being proactive. But at the end of the day, for 6 months, it really hasn't mattered. And so all we can do is keep doing what we're doing, plan in the meantime, and not let it, and go home. And when I see my kids, know that one day I'm going to take them to this epic park. And for right now, I'm going to be the best dad that I can when I go home at night. And nothing about this. There's still times from time to time that Ash and I get frustrated on this, certainly. But is it going to help me to let it dominate my peace of mind and to throw me off? No, it's not. And instead it'll be a story to tell that I'm already telling, but I'm still living. And it'll be yet another thing that I overcame on the path that is business. So again, I'm just sharing these examples because it's not if, it's when. They're not for some, it's for all. If you're going in business, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to train, if you're looking at doing a race like you and I do, these external factors, they do come. And I think for a lot of people, it's what you said, because I do that. I've done this in the past as well. They compare. It's so easy to say, oh, it's just me. Like everyone else looks like they're killing it or doing well, or they're probably not going through what I'm going through. First of all, don't compare. Stop doing that. And second of all,
thank you.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Absolutely.
We all are.
Everyone.
We all are. Am I providing for my family? Is Sean reasonably well? Yeah, we do okay. We're living comfortably, but it's not without its challenges. They never end. I've been doing this for a long time. You have as well. And even as much as you've arrived or things are dialed, they're never truly dialed, in spite of even if you've got everything perfect. There's always going to be a new storm, a new mountain, or frankly, a new gatekeeper who just wants to shut you down or see you, slow you down. And it's just going to take digging in and sheer grit sometimes to either wait it out or figure it out.
Yeah.
And my experience is you will. Not without pain or frustration, but you will.
And I'm literally going to jump right on top of that. That's what I kind of wanted to just close on and finish on. So you just described, you're waiting for this permit, right? It's a big deal. All this, you're going to get the permit. It's going to happen. It will
happen.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you a question before I keep going, right? So here's the permit. You get it. Now you're like 6 weeks into construction. Is everything just going to go smooth now, or do you think, I don't know, something else is going to, absolutely something's going to be hit, right? And then you'll figure that out and keep going, right? So I compare this to, now I'm going to focus on the endurance side, right? And I am going to talk about an Ironman race because there's so many factors involved. I did an interview with Ironman, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, a long time ago, just for fun. And when I was answering a few questions, they were asking like the mindset in life and the race and all that stuff. You go through the Ironman, there's all kinds of things. There's weather, anything. You can get flat tires. Do you have enough tubes? Are you eating the right calories? Did you cramp? I could just go down the list. It goes forever. And then you go to this finish line and you're high as a kite. Yeah, I finished and all this stuff. Anyways, the best way to compare this to that is you cross the finish line. It's just uber surreal, right? You're on the top. You very well better be ready for the next race because it's absolutely headed your way. Whether you pick one or not, it's coming your way, and you always need to be prepared for the next thing to come. And the best advice that I could give is to take what you learn, take what you experience, have it in the back of your mind, and be prepared to be proactive for the next challenge because it is coming.
Well, and it's a large part of why we're here as humans is we need to learn. Being happy is not being happy just because everything is going well for you. We need to learn to be happy and to be fulfilled and to be content even when things aren't going the way that we want. Some are better at that than others, for sure. I do not have a natural knack for that at all, actually. I, in the past, have really struggled to not let external factors or what's happening at work or otherwise impact my inner compass and my sense of self-peace, and sometimes dangerously my self-worth. And that I can say that it's taken practice, but it's also taken a great wife and good mentors, and again, inner circle, good partners, and frankly, me being able to be honest with myself. We've talked about not watering down feedback, and me taking people's feedback and being able to take true self-accountability to really learn that, hey, Aaron, maybe it's not about the insurance is not paying you. Maybe this has nothing, maybe the grand lesson here actually has nothing to do with any of that. Maybe the grand lesson here is you just need to learn once and for all to find fulfillment and satisfaction no matter what's going on around you. And as a Christian, Christ was found sleeping on a boat. His apostles are freaking out while the storm's raging around him. It's one of my favorite stories. And they mistakenly take it like he doesn't care, wondering like, wow, he's sleeping through this? Wow. And then he corrects them that, why are you stressing out about this? In the end, that who's in control, right? And teaches them a lesson on peace. And whether you're Christian or not, there's truth in that story. And the truth is, we need to learn, no matter the external factors, no matter the external forces, to be at peace, to be fulfilled, and to be happy, and to have faith and confidence that things in the end will work out. They'll work out as they should, and the timeline that they should. You're absolutely right. Be proactive, push it along, keep doing what you can do, but don't lose your positivity, don't lose your optimism, and it'll work out. And I can say, after having done this enough, I'm not going to sit here like I'm some sage. I'm decently young, I think, but I also feel like I've been through it enough too, that I know now much better than I ever did that these things do work out, they do pass. Yeah. And I know that the grand lesson is and continues to be grateful for what you have, be happy now, no matter what external things are at play or are beyond your control. And continue to dig in, continue to build, and continue to progress and move forward. And that I actually am finding strength and fulfillment in the struggle now. It's almost like, oh, this is the next thing. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, but you cruise right through it.
And that is a good feeling. It's like Sky Munch. It's just like, oh, okay, I've slayed these giants. Yep. You think you're going to be the one? Okay, let's do it. Let's go. And that altering that mindset, your mindset to be one of like, okay, let's do this, let's dance.
It's a game changer. Versus
being afraid or being stressed. That's a good place to be, and that's a fun place to be, and it takes work and it takes time.
Yeah.
But it can be done, and it just takes effort, patience, practice. So, with that, I think we can wrap it up for this segment, and we'll have a guest with us on the next one.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.